The crowd is speaking loud and clear, from the drunk-like stumbles on a sandy beach to utterly baffling remarks. Biden's latest attacks on logic have left everybody speechless. But this time, his antics backfires in the worst possible way. Calls for him and Harris to resign are echoing across America. It's no wonder why. When an intoxicated presidency meets critical moments, it's the American people who suffer. By the way, guys, if you appreciate the content, do hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate the support, you guys. Joe, get it together, Joe. I mean, I really don't want to see Biden in the Oval Office anymore, but I also really don't want Harris to be president even for 2 months. You know what I mean? Maybe they can both resign and pass the torch to House Speaker Mike Johnson so that he can get everything ready for Trump's inauguration. I mean, seriously, January 20th cannot come fast enough. In the meantime, here's our current president fighting his latest enemy, sand. Watch.
He's trying too hard.
Huh. He's playing.
Mr. President!
Mr. President, just a word.
Mr. President, what are you going to say to Trump on Wednesday?
Oh.
Mr. President, what are you going to talk with Trump on Wednesday? Mr. President, what are you going to talk with Trump on Wednesday?
I don't think he had.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't think that was right. I think that was a balancing.
Sure, they can call Trump weird. Well, Biden has been a weird person for years, though. And if you still need more convincing, here's Israeli journalist Neri Cross talking about how she asked President Joe Biden if he thinks that he could get a hostage deal done by the end of his term. He answered, "Do you think that you could get hit in the head by the camera behind you?" Here's a clip.
President Biden, do you think that you can get a hostage deal by the end of your term?
I think you can get hit in the head by a camera behind you. All right. Thank you all. Well, Mr. President.
Oh, and by the way, guys, it wasn't shown in the video, but at the time, Biden was sitting across from the Israeli president. You know, the most powerful man and the most important ally in the Middle East. Seriously, you gotta wonder why his handlers still let him do these important things that have to do with our national security. I think that the American people made it very clear with Trump's landslide victory, guys. They consider Biden a disgrace, and they're considering this entire administration to be a disgrace. And boy, now that the election is over, guys, you could cut the tension in the Democratic Party with a knife. So here's the latest video of First Lady Jill Biden giving Vice President Kamala Harris the cold shoulder. Watch.
Distinguished guests, Major General Trevor J. Brandon Camp, Commanding General of Joint Task Force, National Capital Region.
White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre was also obviously caught off guard when Peter Doocy from Fox News asked her about the awkwardness between Kamala Harris and the president. But here, watch how defensive she got. Watch.
We know that today, a week after the election, President Biden and Vice President Harris had a private lunch. How awkward was that?
I don't even understand. Why would it be awkward?
Because
Why would it
the president
be awkward?
got squeezed out for
Why would
her,
you-
and then she kept him at arm's length, and then she lost,
Well,
and now she's back.
why would you characterize it as awkward? They have regular lunches. They meet and talk regularly. Why would
So
you
there's
call it
no
awkward?
weirdness about the way that things have unfolded since
Did you
July
see them?
21st.
Did you see them together yesterday as well when they honored our veterans and were together during the day, making sure that we didn't forget the brave men and women that fought for this country? Did you see them together yesterday? Did you see the show of force together? This is, look, I'm not even going to take the premise of the question. What I will say is the president and the vice president had lunch today. They've had lunch many times. They have, they communicate with each other regularly. They had an opportunity to discuss the last 70 days or so of this administration, how important it is to get things done for the American people. And that's their focus. That is genuinely their focus.
Talk about awkward, you guys. Karine Jean-Pierre was the epitome of awkwardness in answering that question, right? And so now I'm just kind of looking forward to not seeing her on TV anymore. Who knows? Maybe even Trump would make Tucker Carlson or even Joe Rogan his press secretary. What do you guys think about that? I mean, just look at how big of a role podcasting played in the 2024 election. And this is a fact. As Tucker Carlson pointed out, Joe Rogan changed the media landscape forever. Watch.
But I just want to say one word about Rogan. I've been in the media, as I said, my whole life. Rogan was like a sitcom actor and a stand-up comedian and like an MMA fighter. Okay, so he starts this thing called a podcast where he talks for like 3 hours. I'm in television at like a big network, and I'm looking over at this being like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You know, no one's gonna listen to a 3-hour podcast from some MMA fighter. I know, right. And this guy's not even in our business. Like, what's he doing? He completely changed not just American media, but American history. He created a whole new, I mean, it would be like this one guy invented the newspaper or television. I mean, that's how big what Rogan did was. And I just will admit freely that I did not see it coming. I did not understand it. I didn't think it would work. And the fact that it did work says something so great and important about Americans, which is they really want to learn. They're not learning in school. They're not learning in the rest of the media. It's all shallow and dumb and about race and gender. It's all lying. And Rogan's just like willing to sit there with interesting people and talk for 3 hours. That was the most affirming, that is the most reassuring thing I've ever seen in 35 years in media, that worked.
Yeah, more on Joe Rogan, Tucker Carlson, and their fellow podcast giant Megyn Kelly later on in this video, guys. But first, let's talk about this very viral interaction, or rather non-interaction, between First Lady Joe Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris. Because let me tell you guys, the internet just exploded after this one. Now, I showed you guys the cold shoulder treatment that Kamala Harris got while sitting next to the First Lady, right? What I didn't show you was Kamala Harris and Second Gentleman Douglas Emhoff approached their row of seats. The Vice President greeted and shook hands with those around her, except Biden. Here, watch this. Wow, guys, just wow. Conservative commentator Steve Cortez, he described it. It's safe to say that Joe Biden hates Kamala Harris's guts. Popular X account N Wokeness pointed out that Joe refused to even look at Kamala Harris. Journalist Andy Enjo shared a closer up shot of the second family and First Lady describing Joe Biden as stone-faced and commenting that Harris supporters have actually been partly blaming President Biden for the candidate's loss in the election. I mean, the non-interaction even received international media attention as Italian TV journalist Leonardo Panetta wrote on X in Italian that Kamala Harris was ignored by Biden after her defeat. Right-wing commentator Benny Arthur Johnson, he also commented how they're not taking the loss very well. One X user commented, whoever seated them together hates them both. What about you guys? What do you think? I mean, before this, the First Lady did campaign for Kamala Harris, and she even spoke of how they bonded over the loss of close family members to cancer and other connections. I wonder what happened to that bond now, or was that fake and just for the cameras? Do you think Kamala Harris and the Democrats will ever get over this election loss, or is this the end of the Democratic Party as we know it? Drop a quick comment down below, guys. Let me know what you guys think on this real quick. And while you're at it, I highly recommend subscribing to the channel. Tap that notification bell too. That way you won't miss out on any of our updates like this one. Now, don't go anywhere, guys. I have loads to discuss with you guys. In fact, let's jump back into the discussion. So, well, Democrats are definitely trying to pick up the pieces after President-elect Donald Trump's landslide victory. But word on the street now is that some of Kamala Harris's backers are expressing frustration that Biden's decision to continue his re-election campaign until the summer, despite long-standing concerns about his age, inflation, border security, all but sealed sealed the party's surrender of the White House. Not to mention, Biden was the source of a lot of mistakes that likely hurt Kamala Harris's chances of winning the election. But perhaps the Democrats' biggest mistake was ignoring the power of people like Joe Rogan, Megyn Kelly, and Tucker Carlson. They're already saying it on national TV right now. CNN commentator and former Democratic presidential candidate himself, Andrew Yang, he was particularly crucial of Harris's campaign decision to snub the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. Big mistake. Instead, Trump hit Rogan's Austin, Texas studio in the final days of the campaign and racked up a massive audience. On YouTube alone, it was like 48 million views. I mean, seriously, guys, it was such a great opportunity. And, Harris could have fielded easy questions about some of Joe Rogan's favorite topics, from the benefits of psychedelics to the existence of extraterrestrial life. But nah, she chose to make a surprise visit to Saturday Night Live for a 90-second cameo that pretty much just made people even madder and angrier and may have ultimately cost the show and the network their broadcasting license. But seriously, Democrats, they just failed to see the significance of Joe Rogan. I mean, he and people like Kelly and Carlson, along with upstarts like gaming live streamer Aiden Ross, YouTube pranksters like the Nelk Boys, and comedian Theo Vaughn, they dominated the online discussion. Nobody was talking about the once mighty 60 Minutes, which Donald Trump skipped, by the way, and the big three cable news networks. And Trump, being the media genius that he is, he was extremely strategic about targeting young, disaffected men through these influencers. According to Sally Newub, associate professor of social policy and political science at Northwestern, these appearances helped him to connect with a generation of young men who have coalesced around certain conceptions of masculinity. For the poli-sci professor, Trump really speaks to those same themes. They were mobilized because they feel seen through his men's first lens. Sure enough, Joe Rogan's channel falls smack dab into that male sweet spot, guys. His reach skews overwhelmingly male at 80% according to Edison research. The majority of his listeners, 51%, fall in the 18 to 34 age range, and they cover the political spectrum. 35% identify as independent or something else. The rest are nearly split between Republican and Democrat. In short, it is exactly the demographic that Harris should have been targeting. I mean, just look at any social media platform, particularly X. Clips of Rogan's interviews, they always spread like wildfire. In fact, Rogan is well on his way to becoming a billionaire. In 2020, he signed an exclusive deal with Spotify worth $200 million over 3.5 years. In 2024, he re-upped with a 3-year, $250 million non-exclusive deal, and his podcast now runs on platforms like Apple Podcasts and YouTube. Sources familiar with the deal say Joe Rogan pays no commission to his WME agents, who only negotiate his stand-up appearances and Netflix specials. Then, of course, there's Tucker Carlson. The man was the most watched personality in cable news when Fox News pulled him from the airways back in April 2023. Now, apparently, it had to do with the network's $750 million settlement with Dominion Voting Systems, which sued the network for defamation over 2020 election claims. In fact, Fox and Carlson are still in litigation over Carlson's claim of the breach of his employment agreement. But now he's enjoying more fame and freedom with his Tucker Carlson network, which carries his signature podcast as well as MAGA-friendly content. Megyn Kelly was another heavy hitter that has helped Donald Trump get those views. And like Carlson, Kelly was shunned by the mainstream media after NBC fired her in 2018 following backlash over unpopular on-air comments. But look where she's at now. In 2021, she took the Megyn Kelly show to Sirius XM, signing an exclusive 2-year deal. Sources pegged the deal at about $20 million. In September 2023, she landed a new multi-year contract that saw her payday skyrocket. And of course, Kelly stomped for Trump at a Pittsburgh rally, saying that he will be a protector of women. Experts say that Kelly's appearance in Pittsburgh likely shored up some undecided female voters in the key state of Pennsylvania. Jake Paul, an influencer with more than 70 million total followers turned professional boxer, who, by the way, is also fighting Mike Tyson on November 15th in an event live streamed on Netflix, also marked a key Trump endorsement. In a YouTube video, Paul suggested Trump's 34 felony convictions made him kind of an outlaw challenger that he compared to America's founding fathers in their fight for independence from the British monarchy. And of course, let's not forget about Elon Musk, the world's richest person and perhaps also the most talked about personality on social media these days. Many people say that he may have actually made the biggest difference for Trump. For one, the Tesla and SpaceX CEO invested millions of dollars helping the candidate get elected. But even more than that, Elon Musk was not shy about relentlessly promoting the president-elect on X. And this is very unusual for any CEO of any major company. He almost single-handedly backed the pro-Trump America PAC to the tune of more than $175 million. That funded Get Out the Vote efforts, a $1 million per day sweepstakes program for voters, and digital advertising, including on outlets like the bro-friendly Barstool Sports. See, it's these internet celebrities that really matter to people now. It's not the likes of Howard Stern, Oprah, or some of these other liberal media news networks. People can relate to Joe Rogan, they can relate to Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly in a way that they could never relate to Taylor Swift. You get me? And like Trump, these podcasters, they also know what it's like to be persecuted for just voicing their honest thoughts and claiming your right to free speech. Much like we're doing right here, right now on this channel. So yeah, drop a quick yes in the comments down below, hit the like button to show your support for the work that we do here, guys. And while you're at it, if you want to join us over in our Patreon community, there's a link down below. You can get early access to content, commercial free, and also exclusive content that I just can't share here. Also, I want to thank you guys for buying us coffee. You guys are absolutely amazing. If you want to do so, there's also a link for that down below too. But anyway, guys, the great wealth transfer is in full effect. Our freedoms are being stolen, guys. Credit card companies are out to get us. And if you don't understand the game, well, you end up getting played by the game. Now, if you're anything like me, guys, you know, you were probably out of shape, maybe in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, and just feeling like the system is just completely taking advantage of you. I remember for a long time, I could rarely ever get any time to spend with my wife. And through trial and error and through a lot of pain, I figured out how to gain freedom and also lose a lot of weight and actually get in shape. And guys, I'm gonna be honest with you, that was a game changer. To no longer be living paycheck to paycheck, figuring out how to get the credit cards to pay me, the power of a strong credit score. I pay thousands of dollars less per year for the same house as my neighbor just because my credit is better than his is. And this is not to brag. I mean, but this is the truth. The banks are literally taking advantage of the poor. It's like the people who can least afford it, they're charging the poor what is like unofficially called a poor tax or a tax on the poor. I mean, I'm now at a point where, you know, like, number one, I don't pay for credit cards. In fact, credit card companies pay me to use their cards. And I figured out how to build a lifestyle that is just ultimately very, very healthy. I lost a tremendous amount of weight and I put on a lot of muscle. But when I was struggling, I wish I knew people who knew these things. So anyway, I decided to create a community of like-minded people who are also interested, just like me, in living better. So if you guys want to join my community, it's called the Liberty Pursuit Network. It is brand new. Come on over. I'd love to have you guys and join like-minded people. Be positively motivated by others who are also on the same pursuit. So I'm going to leave a link for you guys so you can join me over on the Life Pursuit Network in the description down below this video. So check it out, guys, and let's not be a victim of this great wealth transfer that is taking place right now. Sometimes people's subs get removed. I don't know if we're getting censored. I don't really know what's going on with that, but just make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. But yeah, let's stick together to January 20th and beyond, guys. By the way, I just uploaded a fresh video talking about how Donald Trump already is making moves at the border and the cartels are running scared. Definitely check that video out after this one. As always, thanks for hitting the like button and subscribing. See you guys next time.